It's story time! Hey, what's up my beautiful glamazons, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to story time this week. It is a little bit late, but y'all know what's been going on. Honestly, I've been trying to update myself on the rules and regulations here on YouTube. If you guys are following me on Twitter, which I hope most of you guys are, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That whole situation kind of discouraged me a little bit. I had to kind of replan some things. So sorry for the delay, but enough about that. Let's get into story time, okay? As usual, before we get into today's story time, we are going to go over our Glamazon shot of the day. These are my girls, my ride or dies, my home skillet biscuits, my do anything for me, my MVPs, okay? And I'm not saying NVPs, I'm saying MVPs. And if you guys don't know what that means, it means most valuable player, okay? These are my girls, my ride or dies, and they send me their Glamazon shots via Twitter or Instagram. I do toggle between the two, but today I'm going to be going over to Twitter using the hashtag Glamazon shot. Of course, if you tag me, it's even better, so I'm positive that you're my girl. Today's Glamazon shot of the day is my beautiful girl, Lynn. Hey, Lynn. She sent me her Glamazon shot via Twitter. Love from Texas. Thank you so much, my love. You are so gorgeous. Thank you so much for sending me your beautiful Glamazon shot. Y'all know that I have a soft spot in my heart for Texas because that is where I'm from. Lynn, I don't know where you live, but I hope you are being safe. As most of you guys know, within the last few days, we've had some frequent mass shootings, one of which happened in El Paso and another one happened in Ohio within 24 hours of each other, less actually, and it's really, really heartbreaking. So I really would like to have a moment of silence for the lives that were lost, families, friends, and everybody that were affected by these shootings before we get into this video. I know that that's a little bit of a downer to start off on, but I definitely don't want to just like jump over it. We've had quite a few mass shootings. It's been more and more frequent. I just want you guys to be aware, okay? Like anywhere that you go, it is not safe anymore. The movies, the mall, Walmart, stores, any sort of store, anywhere out in public, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of who is around you, make note of what they look like. Always look at people's hands, see what they have. Unfortunately, that's just how we have to live nowadays in order to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So just please make sure that you're being aware no matter where you are. We no longer have the luxury to just walk around mindlessly and have a good time. It's not that time in history anymore. Thank you guys so much for all of your continuous love and support. You guys know that I value each and every one of you. You guys know that I would not be here without you, and I could not do this without each and every one of you. So I want all of you to be safe and sound and aware. Thank you guys so much for joining me for story time today. Now let's get into it and have ourselves a good time, okay? As y'all can tell by the title of this video, this will be in addition to my Gentlemen's Club series where I tell you guys about some crazy stuff that was happening while I was working at the Gentlemen's Club, okay? Today's story time is gonna be about one of the craziest nights that I had, and I just need to tell y'all what I did, okay? Like, I did this, did nobody make me. This is all about me and just me being crazy. Get your wine, get your snacks, get everything that you need because we're about to spill some tea on me. So starting off, you guys already know the dealio. If you guys haven't seen the first and second parts of this video, I will leave them down in the description box below. Make sure that you catch yourself up, but this is just another event, another time in history while I was working there. So there's no need to go through the whole, you know, how I got hired, what made me work there, all of that. If you guys would like to see that and would like that info, make sure you check out those other videos. The training had already been done. I had already kind of been getting my feet wet and feeling more confident in this job. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a really good cocktail waitress, if I do say so myself. I started making some really good tips. Now, I will say there were nights that I actually missed being at the beer tub. Most of y'all know that I did start out my career or my time there working at the beer tub by myself, and my tips there were really, really, really good per night. Like every night that I was working there, like I said, I was clearing anywhere from 150 upwards per night and just tips that was all mine in cash. So I got used to making that type of money every single time I went into work. Sometimes you have slow nights, sometimes you have really busy nights, and as most of you guys can imagine, our busiest nights were during the weekends, obviously, but I started picking up more shifts, especially during the week. So I would take off from my regular 8 to 5 job at the oil and gas company and go work at the Gentlemen's Club, right? Because you know your girl was hustling. You know, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Thursdays, and it just like depended on not just like how many people were coming in, but what type of people were coming in. Like sometimes you had the dudes that were just trying to like just chill and be on their phone the whole time. They weren't really spending a whole lot of money, and they would get like maybe 1 or 2 beers, and you would probably see maybe 10 bucks in tips if you were lucky. So it was all circumstantial, whether or not you got a VIP party, whether or not you got a big spender in your area, whether or not there were a lot of people. There were a lot of factors on whether or not you were gonna make a lot of money, right? I just think that being at the beer tub and being at the front, being the first person that dudes see, and like having, you know, first dibs pretty much on getting them a beer, I was totally understanding why these cocktail waitresses were like hating on my ass so much, because there was definitely a big difference between the tips that I was receiving during the week as a cocktail waitress than the tips that I was receiving during the week at the beer tub. Like I could totally see it, and it definitely was not equal, okay? I want to talk about like the different types of services that were offered while I was working at Diamond. Now, of course, you have your cocktail waitresses that serve you drinks, but you also have girls that you can hire to rub your back. They will, you know, offer back massages and things like that to the guys that are sitting there, you know, watching dancers or whatever. And then of course you have the dancers, and then you have the suites that are upstairs for private dances. There are different services that are offered, okay? As soon as a guy walks in, it's pretty much a game of like, what kind of dude is he? Is he like just kind of like a sit back, chill kind of dude, 1 or 2 beers and then leave? Or is he a dude that's like coming here to relax and wants like a back rub and like, you know, a high-end, you know, cocktail? And, you know, there were just different types of patrons, right? Waitresses would start out their night waiting at the front of the club to, you know, guide patrons over to their side of the floor to make sure that they have more guests, right? I started taking that to the next level, y'all. I was like so determined to make money and to have my sections full that I wasn't just going to the front, you know, at the beginning of the night. I was going through the front like every other person. So like I would go to the front, you know, grab a dude, have him go sit in my section, get him all set up, you know, tell him that the dancer in my section was like the best, get his drink, get him comfortable, and then I would take my booty right back up to the front and do it again and again and again and again. I was making friends with the waitresses, but there were some of them that just still didn't like me just because I was going out of my way to do stuff like that. At this point, y'all, I was so unapologetic. I was like, look, if you don't want to hustle and you don't want to walk your butt all the way across the club and go and make sure that they're going to sit in your section, not my problem. Like, they just felt like I was doing the most, and I was doing the most because I'm here for my money, okay? You know, the pit where I was telling you guys where like we put in our drink orders and like the bartenders would give us our drinks and we had all our trays and stuff, the waitresses tended to kind of congregate there, and they would like talk and laugh or whatever and just like shoot the and I just didn't feel like I had time for that. I didn't want to do that. I really wasn't. I liked these girls a lot. I liked hanging out with them. I liked talking to them. But like, honestly, I didn't like being their friend more than I liked money. It just, you know, not same, okay? As most of y'all know, anytime we took breaks, we had to go into the dressing room like everybody else. And, you know, the dressing room was just a big hub. You know, the dancers, the waitresses, all of the girls, you know, all of us were just like all in one spot. That's where I would chill because like obviously I can't make no money, right? I started chilling with this one girl, somebody that I really looked up to. She had been working there for a few years and she was really cool. She was down to earth. She was one of those girls that had like sleeved out arms. I just think it is so beautiful when girls have like sleeved out arms, like just sleeve tattoos. I don't know what it is. My brother has sleeves and I just think that like the art of it all is just amazing. And that's kind of what she and I started talking about, as I was like complimenting her on her tattoos, and I kind of wanted to know the story behind them. Like, if you got tattoos, I'm gonna ask you, you know, what is it? Why? What does it mean to you? That kind of thing. So I remember that's how she and I started connecting. And y'all know I don't really have a whole lot of tattoos. I just don't have the guts for it. I only have 2 tattoos. But girls, I just feel like, I don't know, there's just something so sexy about it, in my opinion. She was so down to earth. She was not there to play no games. She was very much like me in that sense, where she was like, you know, I admire your hustle. Like, I never see you out there just like, you know, playing no games. I never see you out there wasting time. And I never saw her out there wasting time. Like, she and I were both like on it, right? We'll name her Amber, all right? She and I started getting to know each other other, and we kind of made it a habit that every time, you know, we would have break, and in the event that we were working together, if we had break together, we would chill, right? Go back into the dressing room, would get us a seat in front of the mirror, and we would just sit there and chill, touch up our makeup. She also had a man's, and she was just there to make her money, and we would just sit back there and talk about whatever, about life. She would tell me about her man. I think she had a son, if I'm not mistaken. One night rolls around, and I know that it was the weekend. I don't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, girl, but it was the weekend because it was really, really busy. Like, she and I barely even got a chance to take a break, but we finally did. And I remember that we were sitting there talking about how busy it was, and she was telling me about like a few different parties that she had in her section, and I was telling her about mine. And I had this huge party of like legit, you guys, like a dozen dudes. Just like, they were not in VIP or anything. They were just in my section. And remember how I told y'all that we didn't write stuff down, okay? So like, when they gave me their drink order, I had to remember all of it. And like, they wanted a bunch of shots and stuff like that. And I was just being worked into the ground. And I was like, oh my God, they better be giving me a huge tip, because like, I am running back and forth, I'm running myself ragged, and it's just with this one party, not to mention all of these other dudes that are like 1 to 2 or 4 in a group that I have in my section. So she and I were, you know, kind of going back and forth, right? She starts telling me about her section. She has this huge group as well. Like I said, it was a really, really busy night. So finally our break was over, and we both go back out onto the floor. Now, as the night goes on, it starts getting crazier. We actually have like a switch in DJs, and you can totally tell because one DJ is crazier and louder than the other. And so when the nighttime DJ would come in on the weekends, y'all, it was a whole party, okay? Like, that's when they would like bust out the club lights, and like they had strobe lights and stuff like that, and things were like, you know, you start getting the booty popping music and stuff like that, and it turns into a whole different type of club, right? So everybody starts getting a little crazy. People are getting tipsy, like it's turning into a good time. And then I noticed that I haven't seen Amber in a while, because, you know, usually we would see each other like out on the floor buzzing around, or we would see each other in the pit going back and forth. I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, you know, maybe she walked somebody upstairs. If a guy asks for a private dance, it is like a whole process, okay? Like, you have to like get a manager's approval, and you have to like get these like little ticket things to go upstairs, and you have to walk the guys, their dancers, upstairs, get them in contact with security, be assigned a room, and then you take them to the room. It has like a curtain or whatever for privacy, and they can still have like, you know, with this package, it's like a package like, oh, you know, you buy this to get, you know, a private dance, and it comes with champagne or whatever. So with the package, they get like the choice of a drink or champagne depending on what they chose. And so you have to like get them up there, and then take your ass right back downstairs to the bar, go get the champagne or whatever drinks that they wanted for both them and the dancer, go right back upstairs and deliver it. And then you have to keep your eye on the time. Let's just say they bought a 30-minute dance. You have to keep your eye on the time and make sure that they only stay in there for 30 minutes. Security will help you. Sometimes there's so many private dances going on at once that they can't keep up with everybody. So it is up to you to make sure you go back up there. And then at that point, you know, a lot of times, more often than not, the dudes will be like, oh, we're not done. Can I buy an extra 30 minutes? And then you're like, yeah, okay, fine. And then the whole process starts again. Okay, so it takes you off the floor for a good minute, but you get a percentage. I forgot what the percentage was, so don't ask, okay? That is your tip. So it is worth it, but it does take you off of the floor. But that doesn't mean that you can neglect the dudes that are out on the floor and like your section. So like, y'all, it was like so much running around. I was probably in the best shape of my life, okay? Because I was up and down, up and down. So when I noticed that Amber wasn't really around, I honestly just assumed that she had somebody, you know, going up to get a private dance. I already knew how that was, and that it was gonna be a minute. And all of a sudden, my manager, Anthony, he comes and finds me in the pit, and like, I'm loading up my tray with my drinks, and he's like, hey, Nikki, I need to talk to you. So I was like, okay. So he's like talking really fast, and you know, I told you guys, he was one of those guys that like was multitasking all the time. You could hardly get him to stop what he was doing. So he was like helping me put my drinks onto my tray while he's talking to me. So Amber got bought out off the floor. He was like, so I'm gonna need you to take over her section, okay? Great, thanks. Okay, hold on. I have so many questions. What do you mean bought off the floor? Like, y'all, I had never heard this term before. I had been working here for maybe over a month, at least over a month. And I had not heard the term bought off the floor. Like, what you mean bought off the floor? What is she, like an item or something? You can just check her out? What you mean? As quickly as he was there, he was gone, okay? Like, he helped me load my tray, said that, and left. And I was like, okay. The only thing that mattered to me in that moment was the fact that this man told me that I was responsible for her section now. And like I said, just a little while earlier during our break, she was telling me how many dudes she had in her section, how crazy it was. And I already had that going on in my section. So like, I started flipping out and I was like, oh my God, okay, don't freak out, don't freak out. Like, you got this, it's okay. So all of a sudden I go from having one section to 2 whole sections, and she had, y'all, she had this huge party there, okay? I start taking over her section, and it's probably like 4 or 5 tables worth. And I go over there, I have to introduce myself and say, hey, you know, because all of them are like, where's our girl? You're not our waitress. I didn't know exactly what to say because I didn't know what that meant to be bought off the floor. So I was like lying to them, and I was like, she's actually been asked to do VIP, so I'm gonna be taking over. My name is Nikki. And so they were like, okay, well, all right, whatever. It got really complicated because then they were like, oh, okay, well, can I get another one of these? And I was like, well, I don't know what the hell that is because I didn't give it to you in the first place. So some of them were kind of getting a little baby attitude with me, like, oh my God, I gotta repeat my order. Like, yes, you do. So I had to kind of, you know, fix that and be on top of it. And, you know, y'all, you work your memory a lot, okay? You could not be a forgetful when you're working in the club like that. You just really can't. You got to be on top of it. When I tell y'all, by the end of the night, I felt like a Walking Dead person. Like, honestly, I have so much respect for the girls, dancers, waitresses, beer tub. I don't care. Like, they work so hard. They work all up and through the night. It's not a job for the week. I'll tell you that right now, okay? Of course, it's not just finishing the night. You have to finish the night, close out all your tabs. You also have to help clean up, you know, do all the wipe downs, put all the candles away. Y'all, I'm not even kidding. Once the last guest left, I took off my shoes because I was just so tired. It was just, and I never did that, okay? And I still did not understand where Amber was, what being bought off the floor was, and like how and why all this happened. I balanced out, and I did. I made quite a bit of money in tips because I had double the work and double the sections. He was like, well, I'm glad you made it through the night or whatever, and you really cleaned up tonight. And I was like, yeah, that's great and everything, but like, I almost died, okay? Well, speaking of Amber, I was like, you know, I didn't have the chance to ask you earlier. I don't know what it means to be bought off the floor. Like, where is she? What does that mean? He was like, pretty much what that is. He was like, when a guy comes in here and like, let's just say he likes you a lot. He was like, our guests have the option to buy any of our waitresses off of the floor. He was like, now it is really expensive. It was like some outrageous number, y'all. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, $200 or $250 per hour that the waitress was off the floor. Anthony's telling me this, and I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? Like, where do the waitresses go? Like, they just disappear? What you mean buy them off the floor? And he was like, so if they choose to do that, because of the amount of money that they're spending per hour, we allow them access into the VIP area. Any dancers, any waitresses that they bought off the floor, and they get to go into the VIP area and enjoy themselves there uninterrupted. Okay, but like, what do we do? Because you see, like, waitresses are just that. We're waitresses. We serve drinks. So when we're bought off the floor and we're no longer having to serve drinks, what the hell do you expect us to be doing up in there? Like, I just need to know the ins and outs of this. Like, what do you mean? It's nothing like that at all. Like, it's nothing inappropriate. You're not like signing up for anything that you don't know about. He was like, honestly, these dudes are just paying to have your companionship and to just have you chill with them and drink with them and party with them, and like, you just basically get to chill. So you don't have to like rub them down or anything. And he was like, no, you're not a back rub girl or anything like that. He was like, you legit sit back there and like, you just hang out and party with them, like, honestly, and you get paid to do that. Amber got bought off the floor by one of her regulars. So because of that, what we charge per hour, she gets 50% of. 50%? 50%, y'all. That was unheard of, okay? Like, it was never equal what we had to like split between us and the club. But 50%, I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, girl, per hour. So that's where Amber was. When we were having this conversation, here comes Amber. She is drunk as hell, and she's going in there to balance out. She's like having the time of her life, and she's like, hey y'all. She's like just so happy and drunk or whatever. And I straight up, I was looking at her like, oh, you like, my mind, it was blown. I had no idea that this was even a thing. Basically, Amber got a night off from work, but not really. She still got paid. Remember how I told you guys that after we balance out, it doesn't matter, you know, if you're ready to go, a security guard has to walk you out to your car. You are not allowed to leave on your own. If you do, you will be fired. I met her at the back door, and we were waiting for Andrew to come out and like walk us to our cars. And so she and I start talking, and like I said, she was still like drunk or whatever. And so, you know, she's like, hey girl, what's up? And she was like, I heard you took over my section. And I was like, yeah, girl. And she was like, oh my God, did you die? And I was like, girl, about to. Shit. Who bought you off the floor? And she was like, oh girl, that was one of my regulars. We'll just call him John. She's like, his name's John. Like, he's been coming here to see me like for months and months and months. And every time he comes here, like at least once a month, he'll buy me off the floor and we have a good time. I looked at her and I was like, girl, be real. Be real to me. You better not lie to me. And she was like, okay, what? I was like, what do you have to do in there? And she was like, girl, nothing. She was like, you take shots, you drink champagne, you listen to their boring stories. She was like, basically, they just want you to just sit there and talk to them. And I was like, so they don't touch on you or nothing? And she was like, look, don't get me wrong, they be trying to get their fill on, and like they'll like try to touch your legs or whatever. She was like, but it ain't nothing. If you don't want them to do that, you just stop them and like just keep drinking. She was like, I just sit next to him next to the fireplace and drink and have myself a good time. And I was like, a fireplace? Like, what are you talking about? There, we had VIP sections, you know, like for big parties, what I had told you guys about in my previous story. But the VIP, like the real VIP area of the club, was completely different. There are these two huge doors that are made out of wood, and they have like, you know, this beautiful wood carving all over them, and they're in the back of the club, okay? And there's a card reader, and legit nobody is allowed back there unless you are being bought off the floor or if you're a VIP waitress, okay? Like they have their own staff back there. Like those waitresses that work back there have nothing to do with us. We've never even met them, okay? It's a whole other world. I wasn't even allowed in there. Like I knew that there was something behind those doors, but I never got the chance to see it. Nobody talked about it. It was very like weird. I knew that I wasn't allowed back there, but I just really wanted to see what was back there. And then finally Andrew comes out, walks us to our car, and I just like the whole way home, you guys, I'm like thinking about it, and I was like, how did I not know that this existed? Like I just felt like working there was always something else that I was learning. I never knew the whole story. I never knew all of the options. I never knew all of it until I had been working there for a few months. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward. I don't even know how much time, so I'm not even gonna like try to come up with the time, okay? But it was some time. You guys remember correctly, and y'all were here for the first and second video. In the first video, I let y'all know that there was this guy that everybody knew his name. He was an older gentleman. He was a regular, and he was the one that gave me one of my biggest tips on my very first night, okay? They called him Mr. Something, so we'll call him like Mr. White. Okay, Mr. White was a regular, and when I tell you, when this man walked in, everybody was just like so happy. Like all of the girls loved him, the dancers, it didn't matter who, security guards, everybody loved him, and he got special treatment all the time. He wasn't an owner or anything. He was just pretty much a big spender, and he would spend all of his money and his time at the club. He was basically viewed as family. Like everybody that I talked to about Mr. White was like, oh yeah, we love Mr. White, he's like family. And I was like, okay. He didn't come off as creepy or anything. He just came off as like This is what I like to do. This is where I like to hang out. If I had to put an age on him, I would say maybe early to mid 50s. So he wasn't like old, but you know, he was older. So fast forward, right? And I'm having a regular night. It's like a Friday or a Saturday. It's a weekend night again. And things start getting really crazy. I have my usual, you know, area that I'm working. All of a sudden, I hear that Mr. White has just arrived. They would always want Mr. White to sit in their sections because he was a big tipper, y'all. And sometimes he wouldn't even want to sit like, you know, near a dance or anything. He would come and chill at the bar. And if you just passed by him, if you just said, "Hi, Mr. White, how you doing?" he would tip you like $100. Like, he was just, y'all, he had that money like all the time. So everybody always like crowded around him every time he would come in, right? So I keep doing my job. I'm serving, you know, the drinks or whatever. And then I come back into the pit to like put more drink orders in. And I notice that Mr. White is sitting at my bar that I get my drinks from. And he's like right at the end, like it's the pit. And then he's like right here, right? And he's just sitting there. He's on his phone. And like every time a waitress would walk by, he knew us by name. And so, you know, he would say hello to each and every one of us. He knew the bartenders by name. He had a regular drink. He was just one of them. He was family. I had come back into the pit. I had put my order into the computer, and then I went at the end of the bar, and like it's like right here, and he's sitting right here. I'm standing there and I'm waiting for the bartender to have my drinks ready so that I can serve him, right? This man for real remembered my name. Like up until this point, he had only spoken to me once, and he was like, "Nikki," and I was like, "Hi, Mr. White, how are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm doing really well." He was like, "I am so proud of you. You really have worked your way up really fast." He was like, "Look at you, a waitress and everything." I was like, "I never really got a chance to really thank you." I was like, "But thank you so much." I was like, "You were the first person to ever tip me when I started working here. Like, I really appreciate it." And he was like, "Of course." He was like, "I knew I saw something special about you." So we're just having small talk and, you know, just regular chit chat. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he asked me what section was mine. Y'all, I like started getting really excited. I was like, "Oh my God, are you gonna try to sit in my section?" "Yes, Mr. White." So I pointed at my section. I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm working this area." And he was like, "Oh, already pretty busy." I was like, "Yeah, it's already getting busy." I was like, "I'm hoping to get a VIP party though, you know, for the bigger tips." He's like, "I like your hustle. Like, I like your work ethic." And I was like, "Thanks." More waitresses walk up, girls that have known him for like way longer than I have. And so they start taking over the conversation because they want his attention so they can get that money. I wasn't one to like compete for his attention. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. Like, I can make my own money, it's fine. And the fact that he was just talking to me when they walked up, they were like, "Hi, Mr. White." And like, they just kind of looked at me like, "Oh, it's whatever. Hi, Mr. White, how you doing?" Like, "Oh my God, we missed you," or whatever. And I was like, okay, got my drinks finally, and I slowly faded away to go do my job. Not even 5-10 minutes later, Anthony walks up to me. Every time Anthony walked up, like, I'd get a little booty tight. Like, what are you needing from me right now? Like, what other responsibilities are you about to put on me? What? He was like, "Nikki, can I talk to you for a second?" And I was like, "Yeah." And this was one of the only times that Anthony wasn't like running off to do something else or doing something else while he was talking to me. He just wanted to speak to me by myself. And I was like, yeah. And so I kind of got a little worried, like, "Oh my God, did I do something? Like, oh my God, am I getting fired? Like, what's going on?" So he steps aside and I follow him, and he stands in front of those huge, big wooden doors. "So tonight is your lucky night if you want it." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "What?" And I thought that he was going to tell me that I had, you know, a new VIP area or something. He was like, "Mr. White has asked if he could buy you off the floor." What? Hold on, what? I was like, "Anthony, are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Anthony, you have to be real with me." I was like, "Is there anything else expected of me? Like, I don't want to be touched on. I just didn't want to be put in the position where I was going to feel uncomfortable or anything like that. Like, y'all know how I feel about like that. If I were to say yes to this opportunity, like, is there anything else expected of me?" And he was like, "Nikki, I promise you, all you have to do is go back there and chill and drink. Like, you don't even have to serve him drinks, nothing." So he's interested in buying you off the floor for the rest of the night. I still had like 5 more hours until closing time. And so he was like, he's prepared to pay the money to buy you off the floor for like the rest of the night. Yes, 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 100 times yes. And I was like, okay. I was like, look, if you're swearing up and down that there's nothing else required of me, I'm completely fine with going back there and chilling. And he was like, I swear. We were already standing in front of those doors. He was like, are you ready to see the true VIP area? Nerd came out of me. I was like, yes. You would have thought that he invited me into Narnia, okay? Like, I was like, open the door, open the door, open the door. Like, I can't wait. I want to see, I want to see, I want to see. I've been wondering about this for like months and months now. Like, y'all, I was so excited. He turns around and he scans his key card on the little scanner and he opens the big double doors. You guys, it was the most unexpected experience ever. It was honestly like going from a club to like a country club, okay? Like the minute you walked into those doors, they had a huge fish aquarium back there, okay, with like beautiful fish. Everything was made out of this beautiful like mahogany looking wood with like carving in it. A big piano back there, velvet, everything, huge plush leather couches, and of course the centerpiece fireplace, okay, that Amber had told me about. There were like, you know, those really nice chess games that are like made out of marble. They had those on the table. They had like different areas on the side of the room, like curtains and stuff for more privacy. They had their own smaller bar back there with 2 bartenders just to serve the VIP, okay? I tell you, it was just like stepping into a whole different world. It was like going from like the ratchet club to like, let's go, you know, hang out in the country club. Like, it really was so different. You carry around a tray with you everywhere. So Anthony was like, I'll take that. You're not gonna need that. Okay. And like, I didn't know what to do with my hands. I was like, so like, what do I do? He was like, well, Mr. White is gonna be coming in here in a little bit. He was like, he bought you and 2 other waitresses off of the floor and also a dancer, his like favorite dancer. So it was gonna be 4 of us total. Y'all, like, that's a lot of money to spend on buying waitresses off the floor. Like, he was not buying dancers off the floor. He only had 1 dancer and the rest of us were waitresses, okay? Like, he had a thing about waitresses. Well, like, what do I do? He was like, Nikki, just sit down and chill. Should I like get drinks from the bar? He was like, no, you do not get drinks from the bar. You are not a waitress back here. You are somebody's guest. You just sit here and you look pretty, okay? Used to hustling and bustling, not even having a moment to breathe, that like being like having my tray taken from me and like being told to just chill out at work was so weird. And I was like, okay, well, like I don't know what to do with myself. He took my little apron and he took my tray. So like, I'm just sitting there in my uniform, which I will remind you real quick is a black corset, my little black booty shorts, my fishnet stockings, and my little wedges. I kept looking over at the bar like, should I like go get a drink or you know, whatever? One of the bartenders saw me and she walked over and she was like, hey, can I get you anything? You're here for Mr. White, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, we just put it on his tab. What do you want to drink? And I was like, and I wasn't, like I said, you could totally drink on the job when you're on the floor. You can't like get messed up. So I was always very selective with if and when I drank because I didn't like feeling off of my game. So more oftentimes than not, I would always decline drinks or like take water shots instead of real shots. You know what I'm saying? I ordered my huge. Back then it was a cranberry vodka. That fast. She had like a beautiful glass of cranberry vodka with like, you know, little garnishments and stuff like that. We did not do that out on the floor, okay? Sets down this beautiful coaster. She puts down my drink. I didn't know what to do and I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I was like, should I tip you? And she was like, no. She was like, I get my tips from Mr. White. And I was like, okay, you've never done this before, huh? And I was like, no. She was like, oh my God, girl, you're gonna have the time of your life. Just have fun. And I was like, okay. Some other waitresses came in, one of which was my really good friend. So the minute I saw her, I was like, hey girl, what's up? You got bought off the floor too? She was like, yes girl, you ready to party? I was like, oh my God, yes. She and I start drinking and then finally Mr. White comes in. He was like talking to whoever. He comes in, he stops with the bartender, starts talking to them. He ordered champagne and then a round of tequila shots for everybody. He came and sat down on the couch next to us, and it was like a big long couch, and he sits down in the middle and we're all next to him, and it was my girl and then me. And then on the other side of him, to the right of him, it was the dancer that he chose and then the other waitress, right? So it was all of us on this couch. The minute Mr. White came in and sat down and started talking to us, my nerves started going away. He like owned a ton of businesses. He made a lot of money. He started talking to us about his kids. He had like private jets and like huge homes. His lifestyle was just so lavish, and he was telling us all about it, and you know what vacation he had just come back from and all of this or whatever. So we take our first shot of tequila, and you know he does a cheers, and he was like, you know, to the most beautiful women in the club tonight. Like, oh, thanks, Mr. White. We cheers and we take the shot. In it, we put the shot glasses back on the table. He's pouring more shots. He would like talk for a few minutes, and then the minute he would grab his shot glass, all of us would grab our shot glasses. We would cheers to whatever, take the shot, put the shot glass back on the table. He's pouring more shots, and he would wait like maybe 10-15 minutes, maybe between like taking the shot. But like I said, anytime he took his shot, it was like code for us to take ours. He asked us if any of us knew how to play chess. I don't know how to play chess. I feel like I learned how to play chess when I was a little girl, but I don't remember hardly any of it. He had the dancer that he bought off the floor get on the other side of the table and start playing chess with him, and we were just all watching. Me and my girl, you know, we started getting loud and like having fun. Y'all, we were having so much fun, okay? Like we started messing around with the piano. Like we were just doing the most, right? And he asked if we could all go into one of those little rooms that's off to the side, and it's not like super private. It just has more seating over there. So he was like, let's go over here, come on girls, like let's move over here. And it just moved us from the main area to like one of those little small areas, right? I'm still like basically just partying with my girl. She and I aren't even talking about Mr. White. She's like telling me about this dude that she's talking to. We're like taking selfies, shot after shot after shot. Y'all, things get crazy. We're doing our own thing, okay? The other waitress, I don't really know her that well, but she starts hanging out. Y'all know we get really friendly whenever we drink, some of us. Certain types of liquors make me fight. I got into like that really friendly girlfriend mode where like everybody's my friend. Basically the only person that is giving Mr. White like one-on-one attention is the dancer. There's a moment in time when you're drinking that much that like reality doesn't seem like reality anymore. Like you feel like you're walking on air. Nothing is a big deal. You have no worries. It's honestly Hakuna Matata land, okay? I'd even call David, babe, I am having such a good time here. Where, oh my God, I got bought off the floor. Like I'm just having such a good, I just love you so much. Like I was that one, okay? I'm getting toe up, okay? From the flow all the way up. And then I saw Mr. White and the dancer making out, like full on making out. I just remember in my mind being like, ooh. I kept like coming in and out. Every time I would like kind of come to into consciousness, I was noticing that things were getting a little bit more hot and heavy between Mr. White and that dancer. And I started seeing hands go, you know, in places that were very intimate. Then I remember my friend grabbing my arm really hard, and she was like, Nikki, oh my God, oh my God. And she's like just as messed up as I am, right? And you know, like when your friend is messed up, but they're trying to whisper, but they're not really whispering. Oh my God, she's giving him. There was just like this rhythmic motion happening. And yeah, so I was like, oh my God, like I got so loud, and I was like, what are y'all doing? Y'all are so nasty. And like I just said, Mr. White, he's like, you know, sitting back enjoying himself, and he looked up at me, and I remember this man going like this, shh, shh. Y'all, I shushed real fast. I was like, okay. In that moment, I just got really nauseous. Like I wanted to throw up then and there, okay? Like straight up. Feeling, you know that feeling right here that you get right before you're about to throw up? And I was like, oh my God. They brought me something. I remember throwing up, okay? Like, I was that one. I was throwing up. It was not cute. I don't remember saying bye to Mr. White. I don't remember leaving that VIP area. I don't remember any of that. The next thing I know, I'm in the office, like sitting there where you balance out. I'm in front of Anthony and my girl. Y'all remember the girl that was working at the front desk, but she was also cross-training for management. Every time I opened my eyes, I was dizzy. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like the room was spinning and I felt like I was gonna throw up. So like neither one was working for me. Anthony had actually called David. He was like, you are way too messed up to drive. Like, you need somebody to drive you home. So they ended up calling David. David was on his way to come get me. They were balancing me out from when I was working earlier that night. One of the other managers, he was another guy. He was sitting right in front of me on the other side of the table, and I just remember like looking at him. The room was spinning. Everything was just, oh my God, it was just making me so nauseous. And he was like writing on this piece of paper, and he kept shaking his head, like just shaking his head at me. And even while I was drunk, I was like, what? You got something to say? What? I just wish that I could make this much money getting messed up. It was $1,500 cash that he was pushing my way. And I like looked down at it and I was so drunk. I was like, that's not mine. And he was like, yes, it is. Y'all, that was more than my rent, okay? And he was like, I'm gonna need you to sign here. Hold on, let me get a pen. And he like walked off to like go to the desk to go get a pen or whatever. I remember this part. Like, I don't know why I like came into consciousness during this part, but I like was like, oh my God. And I just wanted the room to stop spinning. So I remember like leaning over my head on the table and like I'm looking down at my feet and I can see the floor. All of a sudden I feel like I'm gonna throw up, but I knew that they had been making fun of me, and I just, in my mind, I was like, I want them to say nothing to me. In the most quiet like way, and I'm like sitting there like this, and I just very delicately, and I throw up, and I just let it I just let it drip between my legs and onto the floor, onto the carpet underneath the table. And then I just like wiped my mouth real fast, and I was like, nobody saw it, nobody heard it, nothing, right? So he comes back, he hands me the pen, and I like just like sign off, and I'm like, okay, here. And I was like, can I go? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, don't forget all your money. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I like, y'all, I like grabbed the cash like nothing, just like, and like I just threw it into my purse. I didn't even put it in my wallet, nothing. I just threw all of it into my purse, swung my purse on my arm, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. You guys, I don't remember anything else, but apparently Andrew had met David outside. David showed up, and Andrew helped me get into the car. David drove me home, and before going home, he stopped and got me McDonald's and then put me in bed. Woke up the next morning with a terrible hangover. David was picking me up some menudo, because I like menudo if I'm hungover, you know, it's like the hangover food. And so we had gone to this Mexican restaurant, and he went inside to go pick up my order, and like I had to throw up outside of the car, all ridiculous, all ghetto, just like opening the door and just throwing up in the parking lot. I usually had makeup wipes in my purse, and so like I threw up or whatever outside of the car, and then like I just like went into my purse to go get a makeup wipe, and I just felt a bunch of cash. And I looked in there, and for some reason I had forgotten that I had even put this cash in there. I didn't even remember how much it was. And I just, you guys just imagine, you know, you kind of forget, you're drunk when this happened, and you open up your purse and it's over 50, because it was just $1,500 for hanging out with Mr. White. That wasn't including what I had made in tips prior to him coming in. So I had like almost $2,000 just in cash just there, and I like couldn't even believe it. Stopped at the bank right after that, and I deposited it right away. Don't get me wrong, this does not happen every night. Best believe that I did not get that messed up ever again. Like, I really paced myself after that. Also, that was kind of where I learned that not everything is as innocent as, oh, just chill and party. if girls were fine with being felt up and fine with providing other services, then, and without getting caught, then that is what they did. So, you know, I'm just here to be real with y'all. I'm just here to, you know, give y'all the tease. So that was the time that I made more than my rent in one night just to sit there and drink and party with Mr. White at the club. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up to let me know. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, what you doing, girl? You want to be here for these juicy story times, Ask Nikki's, and any other videos I got coming up, and I promise you they will be worth your time. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you are notified of every time I upload here on my channel. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Peace out. Also, just a side note, I did go back into work a few days later. They did find my throw up spot because they smelled it and they were like, oh my God, you didn't even tell us nothing. Had to have the cleaning crew come in there and clean it. I felt really bad. I was like, I'm so sorry. I got so messed up. And they were like, you are hardly the first to have thrown up on these floors. Okay. Like if you think about it, them floors in there were so nasty. So they did eventually find my throw up.